turnout this morning. I give this presentation on a monthly basis. This presentation on the third Friday of every month. It is open to unit owners, officers, and guests. Today we do have Seacrest here to help you answer some questions. I'm going to ask that we be civil, that we be nice. And we're going to go through the process, and then the President, Steve, will have his presentation. If you have a specific questions for your building, after the meeting, they will take down your name, your address, and your association, and they will work on it with you after the meeting or outside the meeting. Okay? Any questions? Good, thank you. We're being recorded, so in case you missed anything, this will be available on channel 591. It's available 2 or 3 times a day. I'll introduce the dais. We have Joanne Robinson, our treasurer, Patricia Caputo, our vice president, Diana Evans, vice president, Steve, I forgot your last name, I apologize. Hirschman, okay, he's the president and CEO of Seacrest. Donald Foster, everybody knows. Stuart Richland. We have Matthew, Shauna, Craig, Brent, okay, representing Seacrest. So, thank you. Yeah, give them a round of applause. Yeah. When I invited them here, they did not hesitate to come. So they want to try to help you as much as we need their help to straighten things out. So we're going to, I give a little presentation. I have an outline, which everybody was given. We follow that outline. What does UCO do? What does WPRF do? Today, what Seacrest's responsibility is. And the final is the responsibility of each association, whether you're a board member or an owner, and that'll be the last topic that we discuss. So you can follow along with the outline if you have it. Mission statement of UCO: we oversee 5 major contracts: security, transportation, roads, cable, and insurance. Why do we do that? Because in 1999, most of the associations signed a bilateral agreement. If you don't know what it is and you're an officer and you want to see it, send Donald an email at ucomaintenance@gmail.com. Tell him your association and he will email you a copy of your building's paperwork. Read that and understand what that obligates us to. UCO office, we do investigations, we do barcodes, we do gate passes. We notarize paperwork for the associations, and we will notarize if an individual has a pension or something that they require that you are alive, so you can continue. You come into the office and that's done at no charge. We also have a UCO website. It's called unitedcivic.org. For those that were here in the past, you know that David Israel had his own blog. Well, when he was no longer president, we had to change that. So Joanne put this together, unitedcivic.org. Make yourself available. There's a lot of information. It is interactive. You can leave questions on there, and Joanne tries to answer them in a timely fashion. What paperwork do we do at UCO? We do investigation and sales and rental forms. The forms are to be picked up by hopefully a board member, or you can get a realtor. We don't want to deal with realtors. But that information has to come back to the individual boards. You'd be surprised, right on the front page is a whole list of things to do, and it says must be returned to the association. 75% of realtors, people come in, do I bring it back here? No, it goes back to the board for you guys to review it. If it needs to be, it should be sent into investigation with a check from your associations. We don't take money orders and we don't take cash. The reason for that is once that check is what you're authorizing us to do that investigation for your association. Very plain, pretty simple. Why do you want to use UCO for investigations? If you have a situation where you require a legal opinion, that would be included in your investigation. The paperwork comes back and you see something that you're not sure, you can request that we send it out to an attorney to review. You get an illegal opinion that you have or may have the right or not have the right to reject the individual. If you reject the individual and you follow the directions that the attorney gave you, should you get sued for some reason, which we know everybody wants to sue, there's a $5,000 deductible on that policy. UCO will pick up that $5,000 deductible as long as you have followed the directions. In the last 8 years, we've paid out 3 times. So the information that you get from our attorney is pretty reliable as long as you follow those directions. Most of you know the village is divided into 4 quadrants. You have 4 vice presidents. Those vice presidents are usually in the office. If they're not in the office, call, leave a message on their line. If it's an emergency, contact one of the other vice presidents that's in the office, or Donald or myself. Emergency. Not say, what are we having for lunch today? Very important. Okay. So each vice president has a group of associations to manage. The one thing that we will not give you is legal advice. And 75% of the questions when people come in, I have a question. Should we be renewing this person's ID? Can we reject this individual? That is legal advice. That's what you have an attorney for. Every association should have their own attorney.
That's true.
One of the biggest issue that we have, everybody that comes in, they all want legal questions answered. None of us are attorneys, even though some of us think we are, but we're not. And we're not going to give you legal advice. Now, why the management company? There's, over the last year or two, there's been some things where you can do your own investigation, you could manage your own building. We personally don't recommend it, but why do you want to use a management company? Your management company takes care of your annual meeting. They make sure that the proper paperwork is sent to all the owners. There's a timeline for annual meetings. There's registering the meeting, and then they take care of if you have a ballot to be mailed out, their proxies, and it all has to be done within the proper timeline. Most of us are not property managers, and they don't know how to maintain that proper. They work with you on annual budgets. So, again, the management company will put a proposed budget together. It is not written in stone. It is not the Bible. You need to review it. After things get done, people say, oh, this is wrong, that's wrong. You need to check it out before. Bring it in front of your board members. Let them review it. The more people that look at it, the more things can be eliminated, more problems from down the road. Annual elections must be done every year. Whether you have new board members or not have new board members, that must be filed. It is the responsibility of the management company to do that Sunbiz filing for you. After the annual meeting, whether it's Seacrest or Pruitt or whatever, they will give you a form which must be filled out and returned to them so they can go to Sunbiz and update it with who your current officers are. And if I were to tell you that we have probably 10 associations that haven't updated their paperwork in 5 years or 6 years, okay? It makes it very difficult because if you have a problem in your building, we need to contact the proper person. So make sure that it's done. Right now, we have some issues where we found out that there's a large number of associations that their Sunbiz has not been filed in a timely fashion. There's been an extension made to have that done, I believe September 1st, right? September 1st is the final date. If you're not sure, go on Sunbiz and put your corporate name and your association and see if those are the current officers. And we have in the office, we have people that are dead, people that are in nursing homes, people that no longer live in Century Village, that are the people that are supposed to be contacted for your building. So whether you're an owner, a renter, or whatever, make yourself available as to who the officers are that are responsible to help you out. For those of you that are occupants or renters, it is your responsibility to give the board 30 days to update with a new lease or to request an occupancy. Okay, very plain, very simple. If you're a renter, you give them a new lease. There are people that show up the day before. They come to the, oh, my ID expires tomorrow. I gotta update my barcode. Without an ID that's valid for 30 days and a registration that's valid for 30 days, we're not gonna update anything. And it's very common. You have people that, officers are not here, okay? It is your responsibility as a renter to give that lease or occupancy request at least 30 days before your ID expires. Letters of violation. If you have an individual who's a renter or a unit owner that has an issue within their apartment, they're infringing on common elements of the building, first person to contact is your management company. Say, I need a letter sent to unit owner 102, this is the violation. That place to start it. If you get no response from that, then you go to your attorney. You go to your legal entity. Okay, and again, that's a timeline that needs to be followed. Once you've had your annual election, there's a second form, which is not the same form as you sign up for annual elections. It is a UCO form. That form has just been updated. We just did it this week. It is to register who your officers are and who are your delegates to go to delegate assembly and represent your building. Common thing says, well, president, vice president, secretary, they're all board members and they're all delegates. Unless you list them as additional delegates, the only person that's a delegate is your president. He's automatic. So make sure, if you're on a board, make sure that that is followed. Any questions so far? Good, terrific. All right. Yes, ma'am.
That new UCO form, is it online? Or we have to
It's
come
not
to-
available online yet, but we're working on it.
Okay,
It will be available. There will, some of these forms, we're working on putting them online and making them available.
excellent.
Okay? Every association should have an attorney. Why do you need an attorney? For updating your government documents, for doing bylaw changes, whatever advice you need from an attorney that we as UCO officers can't give you. So you'd be surprised how many people do not have an attorney. They come into the office, can you recommend somebody? You should have an attorney. If you're an active board member and you're doing the right job, this is something that needs to be followed through. And I know we have problems because we have a lot of absentee officers. Myself personally, when I hear that a board has 5 board members and none of them live in the village, okay, that's bad for the association. Because if we have an emergency, like we just recently had, those of you that get Donald's report, you know we had a sewage leak. All the officers are out of the state, and they didn't want to do anything. And something that could have been fixed in a matter of a couple of hours, took what, 8 days? Took 8 days. In the meantime, a minor repair turned into a major because the apartment was getting flooded with sewage. So you gotta stay on top of it, and if an officer leaves the building, there's nobody there, make sure that you leave somebody in charge, that's your contact person. All right. WPRF, unfortunately Eva could not be here. WPRF's responsibility is to issue a ID for Century Village. For those of you that look at it, it says property of Century Village. Okay, WPRF. They issue that. And you receive that when you become either a resident, an occupant, or a tenant. And that's issued here at the clubhouse. They also issue a guest pass. A guest pass, a resident is either all white or an orange stripe in the front. an occupant or a tenant has a green stripe in the front. If you have a yellow stripe, it usually has a drop dead date on it. They usually issue those for 1 week or 2 weeks at a time. And that's so that an individual can use the facilities with whoever got him that to be with him. They're not supposed to be by the pool by themselves. They have to be whoever resident gave them that. The gate pass that is issued by UCO, it is only to get into the village. If you're leaving, you want somebody to check your apartment, make sure that you have no flooding. He shows his driver's license, he shows that, and he gets in. And those are issued from 2 weeks to 6 months, no longer than 6 months. Okay? Basic difference. Yes? Oh, okay. All right. So that's, I know Eva has a better speech than I do, but I'm just giving you a quick synopsis that's what they do. And they're in charge of the rec facility. If you have a problem with a pool, gym, or whatever, don't come to UCO, contact WPRF. So, at this point, I'm going to keep quiet, and I'm going to ask Steve to speak on behalf of Seacrest.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Steve Harshman. I am the president of Seacrest Services. Very glad to be here. It's my second time being able to participate in one of these meetings. I first want to start out by giving you an idea of Seacrest's involvement with Century Village, Palm Beach. So here in this Century Village, we have 279 associations. So that's quite a few businesses that we manage here at Century Village. In that are 6,400 homes. So that's a lot of doors that we have to respond to. And then we have 80 plus employees that service Century Village, Palm Beach. So it's quite the operation that's going on here, not just in the size of the community, but also the level of support that we're providing Century Village, Palm Beach. Before I get into too much, also, Fausto kind of touched on it. There is, I'll be over there after the meeting to answer any accounting questions. And then for those that I can't address right then and there, I have a sign-up sheet where I can take it back to my accounting team. I'll make sure that they follow up with you afterwards. So that'll be available. So one of the unique things about Century Village, Palm Beach is the relationship with Seacrest. Diana has been here for 33 years, going on 34 in October. So that alone is impressive. On top of that, you have Shauna. She's been here 18 years. And then you have Matt that's been here for 2 years, and now you have Brent that's recently joined your team. And we also have Greg that's not here as well. But and then Craig and Jeff, yes, 11 and 12 years. So that is an impressive tenure for any management company to have at any given property. So usually you see 2 to 3 years and they change for whatever reason, but to have people here with your property for as long as they have, I mean, that's impressive. So a lot of you have personal relationships with the people that are overseeing your property, and so that's really unique. So over the course of that 33 years, there's been a lot of challenges, Vansca being one of them. But before we get into that, we're here to serve the community, and we've been through hurricanes, we've been through other issues, and we've always addressed it head on as a team, as a family, and we've even helped out communities that are not part of Seacrest. So we've been there to support the community every which way, and we will continue to do that. Diane's going to be here for another 33 years. So it's a very unique structure, and while doing that, we've been able to keep our fees pretty low compared to a lot of our other contracts. We now have to do additional work. The team has to be involved in some SIR studies, which require additional work. Seacrest has had to absorb a lot of inflationary costs, rising costs of employment as well. So we've had to absorb a lot of that while not passing on that expense to the associations, which is something that we feel like we're pretty proud of being able to not do that. So now let's get into the Vanica transition that a lot of you are currently experiencing. So Seacrest as a whole has been doing this Vanica transition since February of last year. And so we kind of have an idea of the timeline and how things work. You would think that we would be able to roll it out perfectly for y'all because you are such a valuable client. We did you last as part of the transition so we could work out a lot of the kinks. I'll just wait for you to get that.
Should we get up and there?
We either shut it off or answer the phone, or walk out.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, so if anybody else has a cell phone, please put it on mute. So we decided to do Century Village Palm Beach as last because it is a big property and there's a lot of homeowners and we wanted to make sure we did it as good as possible. There's always going to be issues. I can tell you the properties that we transitioned February and March of last year had significantly more issues than what you're currently experiencing. However, those people that have transitioned in January are starting to get their financials all the way through April, and some of them even May. Those that transition in February are just now starting to get some of those financials. March, we're a little bit further behind, but in the next couple of weeks, that February transition, so if you transition to Vantica in February, you'll start getting your financials in the next week or two. Those that transitioned in March will start getting them, and hopefully by the end of the month. End of next month, you'll start getting all of your financials. Now that's all of your financials. You'll start getting your financials moving up towards that. So you'll get your March, April, May, and so on. But I also want you to keep in mind, it's not just producing one financial, right? So if we were to do one financial, it's 279 financials. We're doing 2, 3, some cases 4 months of financials. So you're not just doing 279 now, you're doing over 1,000 financials. So the only way that we've been able to keep our management fees the way that they have been is by running a lean and mean accounting team. You add in this transition, it creates some issues. So that accountant is no longer doing one financial, they're doing 3 financials for your property. And now we're doing that for all 279. And so that does create a lot of issues. So we have about 1,000 board members that we're taking care of. So that's 1,000 board members that are calling in. Remember, we have 6,400 residents. That's a lot of residents calling in. And so what that does is communication starts to break down because the emails start to become overwhelming. The phone calls start to become overwhelming. We have been trying to address it and we have done some additional things. So on the agenda, I did notice, thank you Fausto for putting that on there, the 888 number. That's one of our outlets for our residents. I also have a flyer that's sitting on the table over there with Ruth. And so if you want to pick up that phone number and take it back with you, you can. But that's your first resource as a resident to get information. Is call that 888 number. They got 15,000 phone calls in the month of May. 15,000. Yeah, that's a lot. Normal day-to-day operations, it's around 600 phone calls. So we got 15,000 in the month of May. And the wait time, if you call that 888 number, is 20 seconds is the average wait time. Now, if you're experiencing a different wait time, then it's most likely you're not calling the 888 number. You're calling a different number. So keep that in mind. Hold on. So where are we going? What's next? So obviously we want to get you caught up on financials as quickly as possible. In doing that, there will be some issues in the accounting reports. We've identified incorrect descriptions of GLs. Sometimes the reserve transfers are not taking place. Those are things that we catch as we move forward with the financials and we're reviewing those with you or we're catching them on our own. But sometimes we rely on our board members to say, hey, that doesn't look right. Can you correct it? And then we'll correct it. So what we're also going to be doing here in the near future is we're going to put together some Zoom meetings for our board members to help them learn about Vantica. You can use Vantica or not. You don't have to use Vantica. It's a tool for you to be able to use should you want to use it. But there's a lot of useful information, not just for board members, but also for our residents. So you can still continue to mail in the payments, you can still call in our office, but there's a lot of information that you can get through the Vantica website. And so we want to start encouraging our board members to start looking at the Vantica website as well as our residents, because a lot of the information you can get there instead of calling and potentially, I hear some laughing about the wait time, being put on hold or getting a voicemail. So why do we do this? Why do we put you through this? Why are we putting our team through this Vantica transition? Because it was a necessary change. Our accounting system with GenArc is no longer being supported, meaning if something was to happen with GenArc, we could be stuck because they're no longer supporting that technology. That technology was also server-based. That exposes us to, cyber attacks. If something was to happen to our information internally, we could be held hostage for $1 million, and you would have to wait and you would feel the consequences of that. Also, in the event of a hurricane, the team can work remotely. I mean, there's a ton of benefits to going to a cloud-based system versus a server-based system. So it's something that was necessary. Our motto is leading your community into the future. So we can't be using yesterday's technology if we're going to continue doing that. So it was a necessary change. Now, I can tell you that we're going to get through it, and I know that because we've done it already. Our properties that we've transitioned a year ago are already through it and already getting their financials in a timely manner. The AR situation is cleaned up. It's just part of the process. It's far from perfect, very far from perfect, but it's gotten a lot better than it was a year ago. So that being said, that's pretty much all I have. And thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity. I'll be here after the meeting to address any questions or comments, but thank you all.
Sure, let's go through, I'm going to go through the final, I'm going to go through the procedure. Once I'm done with this, then we will open it up for questions. Okay? All right. The second part is, we told you what we do, we told you what WPRF does, Seacrest told you what they do, but most of us don't know what the responsibility of the association is. We're going to start off, you have to have a board of directors. Having one person holding 4 jobs, giving us the wrong phone number, wrong email address so we cannot contact you, doesn't help you, does not help us. You're supposed to have annual elections. Filling in a form, and literally, I've seen delegates form that say, same as last year, and we don't have one for last year, okay? It must be filled out, it must be filled out legibly, because somebody has to read it, and that gets put into our database. So if you give us the wrong telephone number, that some of us do, miss a letter in their email address, Donald, our office cannot contact you. So make sure that the information that you give is correct. As of July 1st, 2024, you are required to have 4 annual meetings. So for those of you that are board members, make sure you schedule it. For those of you that are unit owners, get on the back of your board members to make sure that you have those 4 meetings annually. 2 are very simple. One is your annual election and the second is your budget. The other 2, it's up to you.
So,
Yes?
quarterly meetings. You said 4 annual meetings.
Well, okay, I apologize. It is corrected in what you have. I did not change my sheet. Okay? So, anyway, 4 meetings. You have to maintain your building, whether you're a unit owner or whether you're a renter or you are an officer. Walk around your building once in a while. If you see something, if you are a resident or a renter and you see something, bring it to the attention of one of the board members. If you're a board member, walk around your building. Okay? If your meetings, if you need to have a meeting for your board or your association, you can call your property manager and they will arrange for you to have a Zoom meeting, if you need it, at our UCO conference room. But it has to be done through one of the property managers. Call Shauna, call Matthew, whatever it is. Whatever meeting you have, that room is available, but they have to make the reservation for you. Work with your management company. Again, like I said before, we hear things all day long. You can manage your own building. You can do this. Well, if you're the president of a building and you live in Brooklyn, how are you going to manage your building? Okay? You have to be realistic. You need somebody here to go over that building and report to the officers what needs to be done. It's your responsibility to file proper paperwork for sales and rentals. You'll be surprised. Well, President, he doesn't feel good today, so I'm the new owner, and he gave me this application to drop off. That's your job. The thing that upsets me the most is when the paperwork is dropped off and a board member comes and picks it up They don't bring it back to the association. They sit in the parking lot and they write it and they approve it without ever reviewing that paperwork. Okay? Or they give it to a realtor outside and say, here, good, it's good to go. Your job as an officer is to review that paperwork and make sure that of what you're doing, those people are going to be living in your building, whether they're occupants, owners, or renters, they're going to be there. It's your responsibility. Because the next thing happens, they call Donald. Donald, we got a bad guy living in our building and we don't know who he is. And then Donald says, well, did you have him investigated? No. Well, who's he living with? I don't know. We just see him walking around the building. As officers and as unit owners, it's your responsibility to make sure that the proper paperwork is done. Again, officers should be, if you don't have an officer or your officer is sick or something, your management company will be allowed to drop off that paperwork for you. But now board members are getting tired, they're getting lazy. Oh, well, let the management company approve the individuals. We kidding? That's your job, to approve that's the one responsibility that officers have, to approve who lives in your building. Not Matthew, not Shauna, not Steve, not Diane. It's your board members. Okay? All members need to be certified. If you're planning on being on the board or you're on the board, you have to attend a 4-hour class. Okay? If you are on the board and you have not done that 4-hour class and you've been on the board for more than 30 days, you're not a board member. 90 days. I apologize. Okay. Association should send delegates to delegate assembly. That's one thing where you people speak. You as delegates are our board of directors. We're here to serve you. We bring you the projects, we bring you what we want done. But if you don't show up and you don't send a representative to our delegate assembly the first Friday of every month, you're not speaking up and you don't know what's going on. And we tell people, if you do have an individual that comes, there's additional paperwork, there's packages that are handed out, there are flyers that are handed out. This past month, perfect example, included in the package was a detailed directions on how to acquire a barcode and how to update it. That was Friday. On Monday, I got 3 phone calls. People say, what is going on with the barcodes? How do we know what to do? And when I said, well, did you look at your package? No. Read the package. The whole idea is to put it in there, put it up on your bulletin board so that everybody knows what the procedure is. There are events that we put in, the shredding events. We don't do it for our benefit, we do it for you. So if there's read that flyer. Bring it back to, if you're the only one that comes, bring it back to one of the other board members. Use that to your advantage and to help you run your association a lot better. Offices should have a list of all unit owners that live in that building. You would be surprised. I don't know who's living in 102. It's a guy. Well, what's his name? I don't know. Well, who put him there? I don't know. Okay? It's your responsibility. It's funny, man. Les, you're laughing. It's true. You know, corporate seal. If you are an officer in the building, that corporate seal should not be more than 40 miles away from this particular address of your association. And for some reason, people think that that belongs like the papal seal. If I go to California and I bring that seal, the building can't do any business. Wrong. If your board member, whoever it is, president, secretary, walks away with your seal, go on Amazon and order a new one. Okay? That seal is there. That's what gives you the authority to do business for your building. Whether it's to approve a new owner, to approve a renter, you're asked to put that corporate seal on there. So make that sure that that's always available. If you have a new owner or a new renter, a new occupant, let them know about what we do at UCO. You have a UCO reporter. You have TV stations. You have channel 590, 591, 592. And we also have the community website. Another, it's amazing how many people move into the building, whether it's a renter or an owner. Well, how do I know what goes on in Century Village? And Joanne has done an outstanding job the last 3 years to make sure, for years, our community websites spread the same thing all over and over again. That's updated almost daily. If WPRF notifies us that the elevator is not working or something is not down, soon as they send us, probably within an hour, right? It's up on there. So if you have nothing to do, look at those channels. Make yourself available. Look through the UCO Reporter. Ruth does a terrific job of making sure that paper gets out. When I went into the office 10 years ago, there was 30 people working on the UCO Reporter. Literally 30 people. Now there's one. That young lady right over there. She makes sure that she deserves the So, and that paper is out on time. It's out on time. She proofreads it. Every once in a while she asks us for a little help. But she does it, and it's there for you to look at. We have people that call up and say, can you recommend a contractor? Can you recommend this? We no longer supply you with a preferred contractor list. We were told not to do that. But we can tell you that everybody that advertises in the paper, Ruth makes sure that is licensed and is insured. So, is it 100% bulletproof? No, but it's a good guideline. If you need a plumber, you need a carpenter, if they're in there, they've kind of been vetted, and you could try to use it. And if you also contact your property manager is aware of people that might be able to help you. All work done in your building, whether you're an owner or a board member, should be done by a licensed individual. They should be insured. They should be a tradesman. There's a list of people that your trades that's available from the county. If you need a plumber, what they need, a license. If you're having work done to your apartment, I know everything now is the big open floor plan. Everybody wants to knock out walls. The walls do not belong to you. The walls belong to the association. So anybody that wants to take down a wall inside their apartment is required to get permission from the building. Now you say that easy. John is my president, he's my best buddy, and he says I could take down the wall. Guess what? Not true. There are, again, your attorney needs to be involved. Every association has something in their bylaws that may or may not require a vote of all the unit owners, because they all own the interior walls of your apartment. Some require 51% vote, some require 2/3, and there are some that require 100% vote of every single unit owner before you can take down that wall. So, contact your board members and let them know what you're doing. Please explain. When you have a new owner or a new renter, explain what a common element of the building is. The catwalks, oh, I want to put a flower pot, I want to put chairs, I want to put a mat on the walkway. That's a common element of the building. Your patios, limited common element, okay? It belongs actually to the association, but you as an individual have the right to use that. Make sure that you notify the people. If you're not aware of it, make yourself educated on what the common elements of the building are. Interior walls are common element of the building. Okay. If you have 25 units or more as of July 1st, 2024, you are required to have a website. So if you are an owner, stay on top of your board, because you have until December 31st of 2025 to put a website together. Yes, Jack?
Is there a website or access to an online?
There's a website. You must have a website.
Or access like Vanico?
No, Vanica is not going to replace your website.
I spoke to the Department of Business and Regulation.
Yeah, there's a microphone.
Original Auditorium Windsor out. I spoke to the Department of Business and Regulation Tuesday, and they said that
using the
they're
mic.
yet.
Pull the microphone out. Just pull it up. No,
Flip the switch.
Regina Latore, Windsor L. Good morning, everybody. I spoke to the Department of Business and Regulation on Tuesday, and they did say that Vantica would suffice the Florida statute. If it's secured and all the documents, the financials and bylaws are uploaded, then it will suffice. So that was going to be my first question to Seacrest. Do you mind if I ask the question along with?
wait until we get done.
Okay.
That'd be a good question.
So the department did say that it does suffice, okay? So a website is not needed for 26 units. I spoke to them on Tuesday.
Okay.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, hold on.
Just before we forget for the end of the meeting, just to jump on that, please, all of you should be consulting with your own attorney and your own property manager over what suffices as a statute-compliant website. Last time we asked Seacrest, we were told it would not suffice, and it's their website, all right? So let's rather than say I spoke to somebody and he said such and such, let's just all do our due diligence and check with our own attorneys and managers, all right? I assume most of you are board members. Thank you.
On that note, I know that all of you have heard of Bill 923 that just passed. Okay? 923 allows you to have Zoom meetings. Okay? If you have a website and you're allowed to have Zoom meetings, you better read it. You're best not to have Zoom meetings because it brings you into another whole field of things that you must. Everything must be available on Zoom. All your records have to be on Zoom. It's not a good thing for you to do. I know that we do have Zoom meetings in some cases, but when it pertains to the website, personally, do not use Zoom. Okay, 2 more things, and then we'll open it up for questions. Directors and officers claims. This just came to light a couple of days ago. If you are an officer and you are threatened with a lawsuit against the board or you as an individual board member, okay, you must notify the carrier as soon as possible. One of the things that just came to light on Tuesday, that you must file some kind of a claim at least 90 days before the end of your insurance period. We had some individuals that decided to do a lawsuit on their own. They didn't go to the insurance. A year and a half, 2 years later, they lost. They now want to put a claim in and say, well, from the courtroom, they called the insurance company and they said, we want to file for a claim. It will be denied. So if you have, it's 90 days. I got a copy of it. In fact, I'll give it to Donald and let Donald put it in his report. Make yourself available of that. Just remember, if your directors and officers claim, make sure that you notify your insurance carrier as soon as possible. Whether it happens or not, you're better off to. I mean, we get threatened every day. We're going to sue, we're going to sue, we're going to sue, but you're better off to notify you. And yes. Right, don't be afraid to do the report. One thing I'm going to add in here, if you see something or you say something going on, PBSO is the first call, 911. There seems to be people here, I guess they all feel that the sheriff's department is not looking out for their best interest. Okay, we're going to call security. Security does not take care of that. Security comes with the PBSO to log into what is going on. First call, PBSO. You see somebody peeping through a window, you see somebody trying to open up a door, do not call security. Dial 911. Okay, and then call security. But the first call is to that. The last thing, for those of you that are board members, there's an annual you must have a census every 2 years. It is the responsibility of the board to every 2 years to send a letter out to all the unit owners asking for proof of age, and if there's anybody under the age of 55 that lives in their apartment, in the apartment building. And you're supposed to have that on record. I know that people say, no, it doesn't matter, but we've come into it recently where an association rejected an individual and they got sued, and the first words out of the attorney's face, where is your census for your building? And they could not produce it. That's 90% of the battle right there. Okay, I know. Well, you used to have to do this, and you used to have to file with the state every 2 years. You had to pay for it. They've done away with that. All the records stay with you. But you are responsible to make sure that that's there. I personally have used a management company because there's a record who they mailed it to. They send me a roster, and I have 56 units in my building, and over the last 3.5 months, I've gotten 20 people back. And of those 20, 10 did not give me a copy of their driver's license. But they've all been investigated in my building, so I can always go back. But at least I have a record that it was mailed out and it was done. If you're not aware of it and you're not sure, come in to talk to one of the vice presidents or contact your management company. And they will be glad to help you to go through that.
All right, I saw some confused looks as I looked down. I believe, for those of you who are managed by Seacrest, Seacrest does have a standard form and affidavit that they can provide to you. Is that correct? Me personally, I did it through my attorney, Becker, Mark Friedman. But you can do it either way. It's important that you get it done. I did run into some issues with people in my building, unit owners, that didn't want to provide their licenses, which is part of it. And that's a valid thing. People are very, very funny about that, giving a picture of their license. John, you were one of them, if I remember correctly. We have your license if you've been investigated, and it's in our records. So it doesn't have to be current. It could be from 1980. It's government, and that'll work. All right, that's all I got. Thanks.
Okay, I tried to cut the presentation as much as I can, and we're now going to have an hour where you can ask questions. You can ask questions of UCO or Seacrest. Yes, under civil. Yes, Louise.
Come to the mic, please. Mic to the mic.
There's a microphone over here you can pass.
Good morning.
Turn it on.
Good morning. I'm in a rush because I didn't know about this meeting before that Seacrest was going to be here, so I volunteered.
What's your question?
I volunteered there, so I had to go there with the ladies. My question is to Seacrest. I'm paying every month through the bank. My bank is Truist, and the Truist is paying my account, like FPL, the water, the taxes, everything. And I received a letter saying that I'm due a month, 400 something. And I'm even paying more money than I'm supposed to pay on my monthly maintenance fee. So what is that? What is that? Because it's something. My name is Luisa Salazar, and the address is 161 Dorchester G. No, I'm because I have to be there, I volunteer, the ladies.
I understand. There's a form up over there. Write your name and phone number, and somebody from Seacrest will get in touch with you.
But I need to have a response from them.
They're not going to give you a response now. They're going to take your questions. They have to look into it.
Yeah.
Okay?
We'll have to check your ledger and account to see if there's a draw error. But that's not an answer that we can give you right now. But we will look into it. Please leave your information and we will get back to you, okay?
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, who's next? Go ahead.
I'm Georgia Fleming. I'm president of Andover D Association. This is a question to Seacrest. I think it's great that you have changed the accounting and everything that you've done. I'm really impressed with it. I worked at American Express and Hearst Magazine, so I really do appreciate it, and I hope everybody does in the community. My question is, I have worked on programs forever, but to do this on Zoom and everything else, I just wonder, is there any opportunity that, I know it costs money, takes time, but any opportunity to actually have someone come and have a big screen and show us, the board members, how to use it? Because I look at it and I'm like, wow, I don't know. So that's what I'm here to say.
Yeah, we can absolutely do that. We were thinking that because of the amount of board members that would be participating, that it might be easier for you to be able to see it on your own device, whether it's your,
Some people can do that,
Yeah.
other people are not.
we can certainly put something together.
I'm thinking, because of what you, like you said, so many people, maybe have 3 meetings and, divide, say that it's for these association, then this association.
Yeah, I think what we'll do, thinking about it, we'll offer the Zoom ones first.
Yes.
And those that can get their questions answered in those Zoom meetings, great. And then for those that can't, that would prefer to do it in person, we'll do it in person to help eliminate some of the crowd that might, yeah, so, very good idea.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, come on up to the microphone. We can pass it around if you don't want to stand up, but that's okay.
Hi, Nancy Del Giudice, Chatham City President. I'm an accountant, and I've been doing business all my life, different changes, different companies, major companies. I work for Revlon, Fujifilm, just for men hair color. I'm going to explain something. And I've never, ever seen a situation where it took this long to get the paperwork and accounting in one shot. The first month I can understand. After that, you're dead. So the paperwork that also was coming in that I saw, I had it all over my dining room table. General ledger did not match the journals, nor did it match any of the other stuff. The accounts payable, accounts receivable. I know what I'm talking about. I'm going to say 75% of these people that are getting this information do not know. So you have to deal with all that. And in a Zoom meeting, I don't know. I don't even know if a one-on-one's going to help. And that's, if the people know what they're talking about.
Understanding the system is 90%. Straightening out the system is 99%.
Correct.
Go ahead, Regina. Oh, you got something? Come on
No,
up.
that's it.
All right. There's somebody with your hand up. After Regina's done, come up to the microphone.
Just to follow up on my previous comments. In a previous meeting, you did say that Vantica would suffice the statute. Again, I called the Department of Business and Regulation, and I definitely would go by their information. Matt and Shauna have been very helpful with that, and they did advise, because I asked, when will the financials be uploaded? And when will we get training as a board on Vantica? So one, I'd like to know when the financials will be uploaded, will it be done by the end of the year? And when will we get training as a board? I've created my own for my own unit, but I need to, my owners need to see what's going on, and I need training on Vantica for the building. So do you have any idea when that would happen?
As we go through the growing pains of all this, we're feeling it too. It is our intention to help all of you to get on the same page. So in terms of an ETA for financials,
Which building?
Windsor L?
Okay, we should be caught up by the end of next month.
Okay, so then at that time, we could do some training on Vantica, and those documents will be uploaded. I do have an accounts receivable problem, but I'll put my name and phone number on the list.
There's somebody with your hand back up there. Come on up to the microphone, please, so everybody could hear you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Susan Reeves from Wellington Federation. Okay, my question is to Seacrest. It's a couple of questions, but they're very quick. One is, how many cams do we have for how many associations in Century Village? 4? And how many associations?
279.
Okay, so do the math. that means 4 CAMs are responsible for roughly 70 associations, give or take. How do you expect 4 CAMs to do a quality job when they have that many associations they're dealing with? I personally have dealt with Shauna and Matt, and they're doing a pretty good job. They try. But you can't expect them to do the work with 60, 70 associations. That's my first question. My next question is why, when issues are brought up to the supervisors, they get better for a little while, and then they go right back to where they were. And Diana, you know, we were talking about our restroom cleanliness in the Federation. And we had to go and clean the mold out of the showers because the workers who are there doing it aren't doing it. So we said, we either have to do it or it's not getting done. Not to mention the financial issues with the Federation. We're not getting these things either. And it's gone on for like 4 or 5 months. I understand you have a transition, but how many months is it going to take? I mean, you're estimating it might take quite a few, or at the very best, maybe the end of this month. So I'd like Steve, I believe was your name, sir,
Yes.
to address these questions, because Shauna can't do it all, Matthew can't do it all. And yet you've hired no one, because I had asked this question a while ago and got that answer. So apparently no more CAMs have been hired in that amount of time. And I asked this question probably 4 or 5 months ago, and no one has stepped up to the plate to hire new CAMs to handle this amount of associations. How can you expect them to handle 60 or 70 associations?
You want to save money, what do you want?
So real quick, can I address that question? So four CAMs, that is a lot of properties within the 4 CAMs, but you gotta remember that that's what the contract is set up for. You have a unique structure at your property where they're here at the property, that their properties are not scattered throughout Palm Beach County, which a lot of the portfolio managers is what they're referred to as. That's their structure. But we can add more CAMs, but somebody has to pay for that. You know, they don't come free. So it's about managing expectations. So some of you may feel like you're getting adequate service, some of you might feel like you're getting great service, some of you may feel like you're getting less than adequate service. So it's difficult to manage expectations because every single one of you have a different property, different set of expectations. And so as a whole, it's difficult to manage it. So I know some of you are very happy with the level of service that your property managers are providing, because I hear it. But that's just the way that this structure is set up. We can't hire 10 more CAMs to accommodate everybody because someone has to pay for that. So, and then real quick on, so there, what was the other question? Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a perfect example, right? I mean, they have showers at there, but it's about managing the team. And so, is it gonna be 100% all of the time? No, it's not. So when in the event that there's an issue with the cleaning of the towers, you talk to your property managers. If you're not getting an adequate response, that's what Diane is here for.
We have talked to the property manager over that, which is Seacrest. We have talked to the supervisors over that, and it improves for a little while, but then it doesn't. So who do we go to? I had a meeting with Seacrest and Diana, you were present, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I think you can remember, and these issues have not been resolved, and that was probably a year ago or so.
So it sounds like we have a little bit more work to do in that end. So,
A lot more.
and then as far as the comment about the financials, you're in that March phase. So that phase will be the last being caught up because you're the latest to join. You'll be caught up by the end of next month, and that's all of your financials. You'll start getting them as they're produced, but you'll be caught up by the end of next month.
We keep being told we're going to be caught up by next month. But my point is, my last financial statement was from February, which was the January. I look at the delinquent report, a whole bunch, thousands of dollars. There's legal ramifications about foreclosures and liens when people don't pay. Fast forward now, I keep sending questions to just, I don't want the financials. I understand the problems, but we have to know who's delinquent because we have to know, are letters being sent out to these delinquent accounts? Are letters of, because we have to, contact our attorneys, and I'm not getting any feedback as to who's in arrears and how much.
It's a very valuable
And that's
concern.
important because
And
Seacrest is
the
going to be
reason-
liable in the end.
Yeah, the reason why is there's a comment about the Truist account, and it very well probably is because the reconciliation hasn't occurred yet. And what that means is, hey, I have owner A, B, and C, they're delinquent. I have a payment A, B, and C that I can't tie to an owner's account yet. Until that process occurs where I can say A, B, C belongs to A, B, and C on this side, that's the reconciliation that has to occur while that produces your financial. Until that occurs, that reconciliation has not happened, so your AR report is gonna be out of whack until we get caught up on the financials.
But we have legal obligations.
One at a time, please.
Law has given us legal obligations that we have to send out liens in a timely manner. You don't give us that information. I keep asking, I said, look, I'm not worried about the other things. I am, but not as concerned about the legal ramifications. And I get no response. I keep asking and asking. Just let me know. There's some with reconciliation, I understand. There's some that are not reconciliations, that are constantly not paying. And I want to know, did they catch up? Did they not catch up? I went to WPRF to see what, if they're paying their dues, but it really wasn't what I needed. So let me just put you on notice that if we have any legal problems because of these delinquent accounts, it's going to be on Seacrest, because I have everything documented.
Okay, fair enough.
One of the concerns that you have, especially with the delinquency, according to statute, if somebody's 90 days in the rear, they're automatically off the board or they can't run for office. So as boards are having annual elections, if they come up as a delinquent, they can't even run for office. And that puts your CAMs on notice too, because if they're delinquent and your Seacrest says, well, you can't because you haven't paid. So that's one of the major concerns that we hear every day. Okay? So it is something that needs to be addressed as quickly as possible, hopefully. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Gail Bowen with Cambridge Eye, and my question is about the accounts receivable also. When I first came on as treasurer, on the paperwork that I looked at on the delinquencies, there was a new owner, and from day one he was delinquent. And so I got with someone in the county, and it was expressed to me that, well, they're not really delinquent, and this was on the old system. They're not really delinquent, it's a processing thing, and it takes 2 weeks for this to happen, and 2 weeks for that to happen. So maybe they're not really delinquent. So I was hoping with Vatica that this would be addressed. And I'm wondering, is it addressed? Or will it stay the same? Are we still gonna have all of these arrears showing up?
Thank you. That's a very good point to make. So not only is Vantica going to help us approve our AP process or our AR process, accepting checks, we're also improving the process internally as well. So there's a couple different ways that we're addressing that, but we are improving the way we process checks internally. So in addition to Vantica, we're also making some internal adjustments to prevent 2 weeks. If you drop off a check, if you mail a check, and when we get it, it shouldn't take us 2 weeks to process. The expectation is it'll be processed within 48 hours.
Well, and I also had a homeowner who, December 31st, '24, they were not on a delinquent list. January, they were 2 months behind.
Yeah. So you also mentioned another thing. So for those of you that have an operating account, that's your main bank account that is not with Valley, the integration there is not adequate. So for instance, like Truist seems to be a favorite. They used to be a fantastic banking partner when they were BB&T. Unfortunately, they're not anymore, so it's very complicated. So we actually have to go and drop off checks to their bank because we've been waiting for a check scanner from Truist for 6 months now. So we have to go and drop it off. So that usually creates a delay. If you're one of those individuals, let us know because we can most likely get you a better interest rate on your operating account with Valley anyways.
And I'd just like to ditto what the delegate before me said. I think all of that was very important and pertinent to this whole situation of the changeover.
Yeah, and I can promise you, we will get through this, and we're not that far away, so.
All right, guys, I'm gonna repeat to you what I hear your CAMs, your Seacrest CAMs tell you at almost all your meetings. It's not our job to tell you how to manage your money, right? That's your decisions, that's your board. But your managers are advising you, please, have your accounts given over to Seacrest, let them be custodians of your accounts and let them be with Valley Bank. I think a lot of these mix-ups are happening because you guys are keeping your accounts separate and Seacrest has no custodial responsibility or even access to them. So I think that caused, would you agree? Yeah, I mean, I heard Matt last week telling the board, please, let us, you pay us to manage your accounts. They're safe with your manager. They're custodial accounts. They can't spend a dime without your approval. But I think that if you write your own checks at this point, maybe you want to consider talking to your manager about letting them do that for you. Could you agree? Okay.
Go ahead, Richard.
Richard Handelsman from Plymouth 5. My question is, there are 4 CAMs for 270. What would you say is the optimum number of CAMs that should be tending to, given Century Village's, as you said, unique governance structure? How many CAMs should there be? 4, 5?
Again, it's about meeting expectations. So if we're not meeting expectations, then we should sit down and have a conversation about what does the right setup look like. From my understanding, the majority of y'all are very happy with the current setup and the way that it is. But if we need to make an adjustment, there's a contractual amendment that needs to be made. Because the more expenses that we incur by hiring additional people, it has to be paid for. So, if you're happy with the amount that you're paying for, then, the current setup works. Now, if you compare this model, if you go talk to another property management and you say, how many properties does your property manager have? They're gonna tell you, 6, 7, 12, because it's a completely different model. It's not night and day. You can't compare this model to a portfolio management company with another model. You're also going to pay significantly more for that property manager's time because they only have 6, 7, 10, 12. So I've even seen as many as 20 in a portfolio model. Remember, they're driving around, going to these properties that are sometimes on different ends of the county. So it's a completely different setup than what you currently have.
Okay, well, as I want to find or somehow determine how many CAMs are needed to optimize the financial processes. That's it.
Yeah, so the property managers are not involved in the production of your financials. That's our accounting team. And we've invested into additional resources to help them get through this. Once we get through this, we'll be able to get back to our normal day-to-day staffing levels, which is where it was before the transition. And we didn't have issues with timeliness of financials.
Richard, just to add on what Steve just said, Seacrest can offer any level of service that you want. You want a full-time manager? You can have one. You want to live in super? You can have one. You want weekly property inspections? You could have that. That will cost money. And if you're prepared to pay, sit down. They'll do an amendment to your contract, and you'll get what you want. But you're not going to like that. None of us are going to like the price tag. Yeah, fair enough.
It just seems to me that many of the problems were caused by the switching from a server-based to a cloud-based system. But that was not our change, that was something that Seacrest incurred. Yet we are being asked to pay if we want additional service.
Yeah, and we are paying, on our end, we are investing in additional people to help us get through this outside of what you see here in your property management team. We have a lot more accounting resources that are helping us get through this.
I had it, I don't know what happened.
Again, to piggyback on Richard's question, you are advertising for a cam on Indeed.com. Is that for Century Village? And does Seacrest pay for the training and the state fees to become a cam?
We do have a tuition reimbursement plan for our teams that are wanting to become CAMs.
Okay.
But we're not hiring, to my knowledge, for Century Village. It might be another property.
Might be another property?
Yeah,
Okay, because I
yeah.
saw it on Indeed. As well, I saw an accounts receivable position
Yeah.
on Indeed as well. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
you know, the accounts receivable, we're trying to grow a little bit because of everything that's going on. So we are looking for some.
But Seacrest does pay reimbursement for those classes for the CAM and
we
the
do
state fees?
We do have a program for employees looking to become a CAM.
Oh, employees?
Yeah.
Okay, somebody already employed. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Good morning, Linda Nugent, Kent E. My question is coming from my association. We have a number of people that have been trying to pay through their bill payer. And when the bill payer gets sent out from their bank, from their account, it's sent back. And we don't, and I have tried many times to get an address or something to get our new numbers and get a number or an address for our bill payer to be able to send our payments out. So that could be published or sent. I've called the office, and anytime I call, I get either put on hold or told that I'm gonna get a call back, and I never get a call back.
Yeah, to get an address for the Altamont Springs lockbox, we do have that available for your association. So your property managers have that address. But if it's being, there was an issue at the beginning of the year with the bill pay. It was a Vantica issue, but they've corrected it since. So that's been corrected for a couple months. If they're still experiencing that,
Yeah, but there's about, I think 4, maybe 5 out of the 16 that are going through that. I'm one of them, so I know.
yeah, it could, you know, the address could be incorrect. That's on there. They could be sending it to the old lockbox. That's a possibility. We would have to look at it one-on-one, like each individual
Okay,
case.
and the hardest thing is, because I know you're also overwhelmed, that I never get a call back. I've tried 3 or 4 different numbers to call, and I never get a call back.
Dial that 88 number.
I did it on a Saturday morning, and I was told.
Yeah, so the 888 number, yeah, it's 9 to 5, it's our team that answers it. And then after 5 o'clock, it goes to the emergency after hours
Right,
service.
and that's when I called, because then I'm, you know, I have gone away after that, or I don't know, it doesn't matter. But, I never got a call back, so.
Yeah, so going to, someone had mentioned about the AR position being open. I mean, so we do hear that there's an issue with when you call the 888 number, someone answers. It's when you get transferred.
It's a machine.
No, when you call it, when you call the 888 number, someone answers. And then when you get transferred, and then that's where you end up getting an answering machine.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the part that we're working on, but you can imagine how many calls that they're getting on a day-to-day basis. So my team is saying, do I answer phone calls and emails, or do I do the research and do the financials? So we're trying to address that.
We have been getting kickbacks since January and February. So.
It is getting better though. When I talk to the team, it is getting better. So.
Thank you.
So Diana's, yeah, and again, remember, I'm gonna be here after the meeting, so I can sit down and answer a lot of these questions. Yeah, and then I can take down your information and I'll take it back to my accounting team to do this specific issues. I'm sorry. But Diana did want me to mention about the bill pay, make sure you have the correct zip code.
Yeah, in the beginning, they had the wrong zip code. There was a number off, so the zip codes were resent. So check that on your bill pay, on your automatic pay.
Okay, first, thank you for holding these meetings because it's very informative. And secondly, I want to publicly thank Donald Foster because he's very responsive. I've called in the past year or sent emails and he always responds. My question, I don't know if you can answer it or if WPRF is the one and Eva's not here.
Can you tell us your name and your building?
I'm sorry, Mary French, Andover M, 316 Andover M. But my question, I think, is directed to Eva, but I'm confused because I watch the meetings and I see that Joanne reports on the earnings for the theater. I'm sorry?
It's Monica Wells.
Monica, okay, so my question should not be brought up here, I'll bring it up at another meeting.
What is your question? We'll try to answer it for you.
The question is about new people from other communities just coming in and taking part in our theater program. Are they vetted in any way? That's one question.
It is an operations question, but I will try to answer it for you.
Okay.
Okay, 30% of everybody that comes to our shows are outside of residents of Century Village or are guests of Century Village. So as to minimize our losses, which 2 years ago was $119,000 in the season, we've asked people from the outside to bring in. Eva has reached out to Golden Lakes and Cypress Lakes. We've contacted that they're willing to come in. They pay the price of the ticket, plus they pay the guest fee on top of that. So it's actually been a help to us to be able to maintain and put the shows on.
Correct, but when I invite a guest, I'm responsible for that guest. And when people from Cypress Lakes or Golden Lakes are coming, who's responsible for them?
All right, I can answer that question, Mrs. French. When this decision was made to open it up to certain communities, it was very carefully vetted right then and there. Those communities have vetting similar, if not better, than ours. So we're only reaching out to communities that are like us. So it's basically a safe bet. So your answer to vetting is they're vetted by their own communities, just like you are.
Okay, so if somebody moves in with a person, but they've not been vetted through their community because they just moved in.
Again, we have people here that haven't been vetted because of.
But they're, yeah, I understand.
We're confident that those communities have very similar screening processes than Century Village. So it seems to be working, and of course, we're keeping a close eye on it.
Okay, because we have neighbors that are concerned that perhaps these people could just stay after the show and roam around.
No, it has to be done through, and correct me if I'm wrong, this has to be done through they have to do it through their.
They have to go through our ticket processing.
Right.
This would be, if you come to the next operations meeting, which is the last Tuesday of the month, you can discuss this with Eva.
Okay.
It's a new thing, and we're working on it.
Okay.
All right.
And then I just wanted to put my 2 cents in. You indicated that D&O claims should be reported as soon as you have notice of it. That should be any insurance policy. All insurance policies have a condition that you report timely as soon as practical after you know of a situation that could arise to a claim. So.
Well, this is something, I put this together a year and a half ago, and as things come up, and this has recently come up where 1 or 2 associations did not notify the insurance. They thought they could go out on their own, and a year and a half later, when they're in the courthouse and they were told you lose, they now want to put in a claim.
I know.
So we're trying, this is an educational process, and we're trying to educate everybody. If you didn't know, you knew, but there's a lot of people here that didn't know.
And that's why I'm standing up here putting my 2 cents in so that
But
more people
thank you
can know.
for your input. Yes. Yes, sir. Come on up.
Yeah, Bob Bechtel, Wellington G. Just a kind of one question comment. On a corporate basis, Wellington G, we recently got our February statements. And January, February, I do my own personal spreadsheets on reserves, the SERS budget, etc. I know exactly what the numbers should be, and they have no resemblance to the reports I get from Seacrest. When I respond in writing saying, here's exactly what it should look like, it goes into a black hole. I get no response at all. On a personal basis, I've been 6 months trying to straighten my account out. Same exact thing. numerous phone calls, emails, specifically, here's what the payments should be. It goes into a black hole. I get no response.
Yeah, I mean, again, I apologize for the lack of communication. But what I can do is, I'm more than happy to take down your information. I'll make sure
Okay.
that you get a response.
Thank
But the communication will be getting better. That I can promise you.
Just remember, before you leave, Steve will be here, they'll be here to answer questions, but there's a sign-in sheet over by Ruth over there to put your specific questions on there. Go ahead, Les.
Les Rivkin, Stratford J. I didn't call the 88 number because I sent an email over 2 months ago asking how much interest we are getting from Valley National Bank so we can make decisions about how to invest our money. Will we be getting an answer about that? Do you know what the interest rates are from Valley National? Question 1. Question 2, I've been told, and I don't have verification, that some people have had money effectively bounced from their checking account because they didn't know how much money was going to be taken out, and then you caught up and they were short. Are you going to reimburse them for the amounts that they're charged from their personal banks?
If we overcharge someone, yes, we will be issuing
You didn't
reimbursements.
overcharge because they didn't have sufficient funds in their bank, not knowing when you were going to take the money out. They got charged by their banks.
But your association is entitled to collect the money, whether we were late collecting it or not. So the homeowner should, and I know it's unfortunate because it was a timing issue with some of the ACH draws, but that money is still owed to the association.
Okay, and the interest rates?
And the interest rate, so your operating account should have a 0.45 interest rate on your operating account. On your reserve, if you're in an ICS program, where it's an intra-fi network of banking, it's a 1.25%. But if it's a regular reserve, I'm not sure what the interest rate is off the top of my head.
I think it's better.
Well, if you're in a regular reserve account, yeah, it should be better, because those intra-fis, they're expensive for the bank, which is why the interest rate is lower, but it's a much simpler product to manage than having multiple reserve accounts.
Text us.
Hi, Kathy Fornes from Dover. We have 240 units in Dover, and I am getting calls constantly about people who are having problems with their payments being made. I had a number of calls just from the last month where the payments were accounted for, where people complained that they were being said that they owed over $1,000, basically for 3 months of payments. They're sending their monies in through their bank, I believe, whatever ClickPay is. And they said that their bank says that the money has been sent to Seacrest. Seacrest says they have not got the money, or wherever, I don't know, it's in a black hole. What am I supposed to tell these people?
Well, once we do the financial, we'll be able to clarify where that money's at. If it hasn't been posted to Vantica yet, that means it'll be most likely found when they do the reconciliation for the financial. And I see that building A has their financial completed, but B and C have not had their financials completed.
On Vantica, everybody, no matter what building they're in, is listed as Dover A, which is wrong. I'm in Dover C. Mine is listed as Dover A. And, you know, I have mine paid automatically through Seacrest, so Seacrest pulls it out. Unfortunately, we have people who say it's automatic and they have no idea whether it's through Seacrest or whether it's through their banks. But, you know, I mean, if people are saying, there's a number of people and they all are saying it's over $1,000. I mean, how long is this going to take for that? This is 3 months of payments that they've made and they're not accounted for. How long is it going to take?
She said ClickPay. She
Yeah.
said ClickPay doesn't exist anymore.
Okay, what are you doing to notify these people that ClickPay doesn't exist and they need to pay some other way?
So there's a couple different routes that we've taken. So we've sent out communications before the Vantica transition occurred. So some of you have mentioned about late letters going out. There is that gentle reminder that we haven't received your funds yet. Some of you may have received that gentle reminder. That's one way that we're notifying people as well. And that gentle reminder, it lets them know to contact the office or how to make a payment. So that's the method that we're using to approach individuals that we haven't had their letter or money for. The problem is until that reconciliation occurs, and I know I've said it like 100 times, but those letters going out may not be accurate. So you may have already paid, but it hasn't hit the books yet because we haven't reconciled that account, and you're getting a letter saying, hey, we haven't received your money.
Okay, they don't seem to think that they're getting anything from Seacrest until they've gotten this one notice saying that they owe for 3 months.
It goes out monthly, that letter.
I understand that's what you're saying that it does, but these people, everyone insists they have not received anything. They do not know what Vantica is, they do not know why their payments are not being accounted for.
I'll take a look at your buildings as well as what you mentioned about A, B, and C. If that isn't labeled correctly, because it should match your entity, your building's corporate name. If there's I'll make sure that that's correct, but we'll also look at the communications that have gone out. And if for some reason we did miss your buildings, for whatever reason, I'll make sure it gets addressed.
Okay, but they do need to be notified that this ClickPay or whatever it is does not work, and don't continue to send their money in through that way, because they have no clue. They are still continuing to send their money in.
I agree, but that communication should have been sent if it hasn't. So we did send out that communication, but I'll take a look at it, and if not, then we can certainly do a special campaign and send it out for your buildings.
Okay. Now, does Vantica, that new system, have to do with bills being paid?
Yeah, so it does have something to do with bills being paid. So there's a couple different scenarios that occurred for the Palm Beaches. So I also have heard that some boards are opening up their own bank accounts now to pay vendors, and that's not what you want to do, because it's going to create a lot more mess, and you don't want a checkbook on your property where anybody can just write checks. So it creates more work for the accounting department and for you, because we're going to have to get that information from you. So I don't recommend that, but there was an issue. But right now, that has been resolved. There was a problem with money coming in, and then funds being withdrawn from the account for paying bills, and then there was no more bills to be paid, or no more funds to pay bills. But from my understanding, most of that has been corrected by now.
We have our account through Seacrest. So there should not be any issue with paying the bills. Bills are not being paid in a timely manner at all. I continue to get notices 30 days overdue in your payment, when I have sent in a request to have these bills paid as soon as I get the invoice. It should not take 30 days for the payments to get to these companies.
Yeah, I don't know about your specific situation, but we are improving our AP processing overall the Vantica process is getting better because we're becoming more integrated with Vantica payment processing.
Well, I know that I sent in a reimbursement for things that I have had to pay for because I don't have a checking account.
Yeah,
my bank is through you. They took over 3 months and 3 reminders for me to get a check for that.
Shouldn't take that long, but reimbursements, there are a couple additional steps because we have to verify that you receipts and stuff like that, but it shouldn't take 3 months.
No, it shouldn't.
Yeah, I agree.
Not at all. And I sent in a request for a repayment for a remodeling deposit. I require deposits for a remodeling. And when I send in a request to Seacrest and say, please pay these people back the $500 they put in, and a month later they still haven't received it, and they tell me, well, they talked to Seacrest and it's going to take 2 months. That is not acceptable.
And we wouldn't advise it would take 2 months either. We wouldn't say that. But do you have outstanding AP issues now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind your name and contact information, I'll make sure it gets addressed after this meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
It's a lot easier if you put your name and your telephone number, and they will call you personally and go over all this information. I understand your frustration we had where a bill wasn't paid in 3 months. Just put your name, your telephone number, and he'll get back to you. Thank you.
Hi, Susan Reeves, Wellington Federation. I'd like to know, it sounds like a lot of these issues, you're having issues with this Vantica. But the accounting department, what education requirements are set forth for them to work in that department? Because you seem to get shuffled from one place to another. There never seems to be a real answer to us. And, you know, this Vantica problem, yes, it is a problem apparently, but also the financial department is a problem. And we brought that up at a meeting. And I want to know what are the education requirements for these people who work in the financial department? Because they don't seem to know what's going on. One hand doesn't seem to know what the other's doing, and it's creating a lot of problems for people.
Come on up, Jack. I want to hear from you.
So that's real quick, just to answer that. The team that's in place, you're actually one of the few communities that has a consistent team that's been in place even well before the transition even occurred. So the team that's there, it's been there for many years, working on your financials. The issue that we're experiencing is just from the Vantica transition. It's not a lack of education or a lack of the team not working well together. It's the Vantica transition. And once we get through this, it'll get back to running better than the way it was before the Vantica transition.
Hey, Jack.
Hi, Jack Reinstein, Windsor Q. I don't know if we'll be able to get it straight here, but you said that condos over 25 units must have a website.
Yes.
I believe the law says, or after must have a website, says, or a mobile app that is internet accessible and includes a password protected section for owners by January 1st, 26.
Yes.
And it's my understanding that Vantica, how do you say Vantica?
Yeah, you're close, Jack.
That once we get straight with Vantica, that will cover our requirement and we will not need a separate website for Windsor Q.
My understanding from the last time that you were here, that they could not upload their rules and regulations and their bylaws and articles of incorporation on your website, right?
I'm not sure if there was a miscommunication on my part, but it's our understanding that Vantica does meet the requirements for the website and the app. But again, you made a very good point. You should consult your individual attorney should you have questions about whether or not it meets your requirements. Because the interpretation of law, for one, it may be different for another. So in our understanding, and we've also consulted our attorneys about it, the Vantica website does meet the requirements. But again, if you question that, please have a conversation with your attorney.
So you just said Vantica website will cover that and we won't need a separate website.
You didn't say that.
No.
Guys, come on, one meeting.
The Vantica website has a portal that suffices for the website requirements, and it also has a mobile app.
Right, okay. So if we have Vantica running properly by the end of the year, by January 1st of next year, will we still need a website?
Yes.
That's an attorney question, but I would say yes.
Thank you.
Johanna, come on up.
Marilyn Bordelot, East Hampton H.
Here it comes.
I had several questions, but I don't have any more questions because they've already been asked.
Well, that's good.
Answered.
That's a
And I
good
thank
thing.
you for some of the answers. But I do want to make one statement. Back a few months ago, East Hampton H did have a serious problem. And I called Shauna because Shauna is the only human being in East Hampton H, in Century Village, that will call you back. Thank you.
Donald called you back.
And let me add, in a very timely manner.
Wrong. I'm the vice president, you can call me.
She understood my problem and got in touch with some gentleman. I never heard of him, didn't know him. His name was Matthew.
And Matthew was as good as Shauna. When you have two people, and they answered it, my only question is, and it's been asked, I haven't had a financial since December. I had a piece of paper mailed to me in January with the entire 24 units and what they owed, and we had nobody that owed any money. We thank my association for that. But it's been 7 months. My previous job before I was 87 years old was an accountant. And 7 months is not acceptable.
Yes. That's right.
I'm very fortunate to be in an association who pays their bills. Association who pays their rent. So I have a lot of patience, but it's wearing thin. Thank you, Shauna. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you. Go ahead, Joanna.
Johanna from Canterbury B. It's a question about Vantica. When I go on the Vantica website that was assigned to me, I see my own information. When I get the association financials through an email. Is the intention for those to be placed on everybody's Vantica website at some point?
Are you a board member?
Yes.
Okay, so there's two different levels of the financials. There's the board financials, which is the full package that has accounts receivables, bank statements, and all of that fun stuff. The the resident package just has the balance sheet and income statement. So both of those, when you get that email, are uploaded on both the resident and board member side of Vantica at the same time.
How do I get them onto my resident site? And how do I get them onto the other board members' sites?
Yeah, they automatically get into, if you're a board member, you
It's
get
not
the.
there, that's what I'm telling you. They're not on my individual site.
So they had to have emailed you separately then. I'll look into that, but when
Thank you.
part of the process is when the board member receives the financial via email, if they send it through Vantica, it's automatically posted to the website as well, both the resident and board member.
Okay, so I'll ask for a follow-up on that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I wrote it down too.
We're not gonna get hard copies anymore.
Steve, as I brought up before, Windsor Ambulatory, we don't have access for the building. We have access individually, but we need that access for the building, for the Windsor L building, whatever building it is. We don't have that. We need to see those financials in there. That's what I was asking previously.
Over there, Gina, with you being, I'm sorry.
Yes, hello,
I
thank
know.
you.
I don't like hearing my voice through this microphone. Being a W building, Windsor,
Yes,
the features are being phased in, but
Perfect.
you're the third phase.
okay,
So it's gonna come in time.
perfect,
So,
thank you. And thank you both for helping me with the accounts receivable problem. I'll make a note of it with Steve.
Anybody else have a question? Come on up. Don't be bashful, people. This is the time to talk.
Gail Bowen, Cambridge I. So I had a couple of things on the delinquent letters that go out to the owners. Are letters or notifications sent to the board so that we know and have a documentation of what is going on behind the scenes besides waiting on our financials to come in?
So when it comes to that gentle reminder, we're not asking for the board's permission or anything for that. That, we want to send that out to remind people that we haven't received the payment. So that part, no. Now, when it comes to the NOLAs, that's a little bit different. So the notice of late assessment, that's that little mean letter that you get that you have 30 days, otherwise you potentially get a lien. That one doesn't come across very friendly, which is why we send out that gentle reminder. For that one, we will be in communication with our communities to let them know that we're gonna turn on that feature and we're gonna have that discussion with y'all when that happens.
That's not taking place now, though, right?
No, it's not, except for individual cases where we're told to move forward, because there are some homeowners that are legitimately delinquent for one reason or the next. And for those, we do want to continue with the NOLA letter to proceed with the foreclosure and everything else to happen.
Because we have one that's showing on the April financial, it's like over 90 days. So that's what I was wondering about. Okay, I guess we'll wait and see.
Gail, but can I just jump in for 1 second on the first part? I myself, Chatham, this morning, we got our first two Vantica form financials. And it was for March and April. And in both of those cases, there was notations that notice was sent. The bad one and, you know, the nice one and the less nice one. So that's something new. I am seeing that now. Because we need to know, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do bring up a good point. The AR report gives you the status. If they're with the attorney, if they're in collections, it'll give you a status of each one of those homeowners, of what type of communication they received.
And Gail, if you haven't already, like we're saying, just put down your information. If they are a habitual person, we can look into their individual ledger.
Okay. And you're calling it a Vantica financial statement? Is that just because Vantica's doing it now, or is that something I don't know about?
Yeah, it's just Vantica's producing. It's the software. It was a GenArc Financial before. Now we're using Vantica, so Vantica
It was
Financial.
just a different format that I was used to seeing. It was a little more clearer, frankly.
I'm trying to get used to it.
Me too.
Quick question. Are we not going to be getting hard copies of the financials? Because I know personally, when I get those 27 pages, and I'm sitting there going through pages and pages, and I'm saying, if I have to do this on my iPad, I'm gonna go crazy. Because the accounting, my husband's a CPA and a tax attorney, but he doesn't have anything to do with it. So I said, look at this, and he says, I've never seen accounting like this before. It's crazy. He said, a layperson can understand this. There has to be a simpler way. But my question again is, are we going to get hard copies? Because that makes it a little easier.
Upon request, yeah. I mean, so for those of you that want to have the hard copy, sure. But you know, the financials. Not all the board members are going to automatically receive a hard financial because that's just a waste of paper in
No,
many
I'm talking about
cases.
the treasurer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, you have to request it.
Oh, yeah, the request.
Yes, sir.
Why can't you do it down?
I just wanted to say I've been here 25 years. I love Central Village. As far as any incidents, I mean, we all have some kind of interest, but I just want to tell you a little story. It might be a little comical.
I can't hear him.
One person speaking, please.
We can't hear him.
You want to grab the microphone?
Matt's going to get you.
I really do want to hear the story. When I was coming home, I'm here, like I said, I'm here 25 years, I'm the first responder. But to 9/11, I have cancer in my whole body. And that's why I don't want to stand up right now. But one night I was coming home, and I go over Trophy Boulevard, my pickup truck, and pull into the lane that has a corresponder. The alarm didn't go up. The guard came out, gave me a car, gave me a lecture like that. Well, there's no transponder on the car. What happened was the window regulator on the right rear door fell down into the door, where it could never register the transponder.
Okay.
Well, what the guy did, he said, I can't let you through. We got to back up the line on the other side where you can see me fast. And then backed up to Okeechobee Boulevard. It was ridiculous. Between the horns beeping and everything, it was really ridiculous. And and they don't want to pick up the cones if people knock over. When people knock over the cone, they leave it there. They don't come out and put them up again. So you got to look at it.
When you were in the residence lane, they should have just let you through once you showed them their ID.
Right, which they did. They made one car go out on the residence lane.
Well, I'm sorry that happened.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and that should not have happened. That is not the proper procedure.
Right. And then I got Donald Trump as my president in the '99 shot at me. I'm feeling pretty good, so he's all right. So, other than that, I'm satisfied.
Well, thank you for your input. Anybody else? Any other questions? Here. This is something that happened to them. 4 or 5 months that they didn't pay the bills. And then they paid them all at one time, one check.
Les Rifkin again from Stratford. I'm going to claim my honesty. I'm an old fart. I don't do all that well with computers. Is there going to be a training session on Vanica and how we could use it?
Yes. There's gonna be video available, and there's gonna be like something like here where you'll be able to come in and one-on-one. Okay? They're working on it. All right. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Come on up.
I have a pretty big mouth, I think everyone there.
Now, come to the microphone, because we got a lot of deaf people.
I can't hear you.
And we want to see what you look like, Rhoda.
A day older than I did yesterday. So I've been getting financials, and everybody is late. Every single unit in my associate late, which is not true. It's just not. There are 3 that are late, not as far as a month late. Now I got that one for April, so the list is better with who's considered late. I'm wondering, should I wait until all this is figured out and until we get like in July, or maybe get July, and see really who's on this list before I take any action?
So you said you're getting financials.
What association are you with?
D, Dorchester.
What's your name and number then?
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned that you're getting financials.
Well, it's telling me who's late.
Right, but until your financials are completed, that reconciliation hasn't occurred yet.
Well, it's like 12 pages, so how much more is there to this report?
Well, if the reconciliation hasn't occurred, then a lot of those homeowner payments probably haven't been applied to Vancouver yet. So I see here that it doesn't look like you're getting financials yet. But I'll take a look at it. Which, Dorchester?
Dorchester D.
All right. I'll take a look at it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Rhoda, when certain things catch my, and you said, and before I take any action, and since it's you, I have a vision in my head of you banging on doors. When it comes to collect, no, this is serious. When it comes to collecting debt, please leave it to your managers and your attorney. Their job is to collect for you and make sure you don't run afoul of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. I know what you're saying, and it's frustrating.
But I don't know if they really are late.
Exactly. All the more reason why you should leave it to your managers, let them get this straightened out. And then if it gets to the point you gotta bring it to Mark, you bring it to Mark, all right? But no personal collections. Those days are over. All right, just checking, because I know you.
Okay, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. Thank you, Seacrest, for being here, all the officers. If you have an individual thing, see Shauna, go see Ruth over there, put your name and number and association, and they will get back to you as soon as humanly possible. Thank you again.
Thank you, everyone.